Let's see if we can get a couple other calls here. Ram is calling from New Delhi, India, and has been waiting the entire show and then some. So, welcome to the show, Ram.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, what is your position on faith?
On faith?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it depends on how you define it, but for my definition of faith is the excuse people give when they believe something without a good reason. Because if you have a good reason, you would give the good reason. And so I don't see that faith is useful. I don't know that there's any position one couldn't justify by appealing to faith, and I have no use for it.
You have no use for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you might have known about the placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
So you can explain the placebo effect to the people.
The placebo effect is when you get a positive result from something that there's no good reason to think should be producing a positive result. Essentially, you give somebody sugar pills and they start feeling better, even though you haven't given them anything to treat them, is one example.
Yeah, so that is exactly. So that is one reason, prayer can trigger a placebo effect.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm saying that prayer, when you pray to God.
He's saying, I guess, that faith can give people a placebo effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it can also cause, there's also something called a nocebo effect, right? Where you tell somebody that something horrible is going to happen if they take this pill, and people have bad reactions that are inexplicable.
And if people are sick, I'd rather give them the real medicine instead of the placebo.
Yeah. And also, you have to remember, placebos only work for things that are very subjective, right? And so I understand what you're saying. And yes, a person can, there is a small percentage of people who can make themselves feel somewhat better with very subjective things, right?
But the fact that you can get a positive result from something doesn't mean that something is positive. This actually came up in the debate that I did last weekend. I'll be posting it later this week. I know of people who would say that being diagnosed with terminal cancer was the best thing that ever happened to them because it fundamentally changed their view of what was important in life. It helped repair broken relationships, and their quality of life leading up to their death was far better than it had been for many years before that. There's no denying that had a good result. But even with that good result, we would not say that cancer is a good thing, and we certainly wouldn't say disease is a good thing. You can encourage people to do good things with randomness. I have a trick that I've done in some of my close-up shows where there are 6 cards that have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on there, and there's a die sitting out there. And you have them roll the die, and they can roll it as many times as they want, and it gets random numbers. And we're going to use those cards to determine how I'm going to treat people during the show. And so they roll, and let's say they get a 3, and we have them turn over the card that has a 3 on it, and it says be nice. And on every other card it says kill. Now, if I were to say that this was my religion, or that I'm putting faith in the die and these cards to tell me how to live my life, the fact that I got a good result doesn't mean this is a good system to determine. It's an issue of cherry picking, because if we'd rolled a different number, I would have had to kill the audience. So the fact that you can imbue a placebo effect, and the placebo effect can have good results, doesn't mean that the placebo effect is a good thing, or that it's a good idea to strive to push a placebo effect.
So you're saying that praying can have negative effects also, like people killing each other?
Sure. Faith, I would argue, is more likely to have negative effects if it's the primary foundation for something.
Yeah, if you don't understand the reasons why you're doing something.
But now majority people don't kill, right? Only a few factions kill, right? So my point is not really defeated in that sense.
I don't know what your point is.
Point is that the statistics out there, they outweigh that there are good people. There are more good people than there are bad people.
No, the statistics would show that, to quote Steven Weinberg, without religion, without faith, you would have good people doing good things and bad people doing bad things, but it takes something like faith or religion to get good people to do bad things. That doesn't mean that there aren't people, the majority of people, who find a way to remain good even if they're being encouraged to do something evil by their religion.
I'm not arguing for religion, right? I'm arguing for God, and I'm arguing for something that's natural justice, and that you can clearly see what's right and what's wrong. And a lot of people, people do bad things and people do good things, but people are not good or bad.
Wait a minute.
I would agree that you couldn't summarize people that way. Go ahead.
I'm going to say that to say that people clearly see what is right and wrong is to deny huge arguments that people have about what is acceptable and unacceptable in a moral arena. So like here in the United States, we have people that cannot agree on, whether a woman's right to reproductive choices outweighs, a fetal right to produce a offspring.
We have to consent to the abortion because
we have people here who think that they should be, that they need a gun to be safe, and other people who say that gun is dangerous to have. We have people here who say that people that commit murders should also be murdered by state deaths. And we have other people who say, no, death penalty is wrong. So the idea that people have some clear perspective, I think there are some situations you can give where most people are going to agree on what is right and wrong. But I think to just say that this is a clear thing that people just tend to agree with, I think there are some huge moral issues where people cannot agree and where there are giant arguments about what is right and what is wrong.
And there's huge disagreement when you get into sexuality.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. So, but I was arguing for the fact that there's another good argument that why is there something rather than nothing?
Because there is.
Because there is. That's it.
Do you have a better answer that you can demonstrate is true?
No, I can't demonstrate it.
Yeah, if you can't demonstrate it, until you can demonstrate it, I don't know of another answer. There are some questions.
Science hasn't disproven God as of yet, right?
Well, science hasn't. So the fact that science hasn't disproven something doesn't tell you whether or not it's real. There are things that are fundamentally unfalsifiable, and nothing will ever be able to demonstrate that they're false. But that doesn't mean that they're true. Science hasn't disproven the 1,000 different gods that people have believed in.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I understand that. But why is there something? We are all here.
I don't know.
Why? You don't know.
Could there be nothing?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I tend to have trouble trying to conceive of non-existence. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that it's not a limitation of my ability to conceive of things. It could be that there is some kind of coherent example of it that I am not able to conceive of, and it just because my imagination is not the limit of what can be. But I don't even understand how there's like a logical, coherent idea of.
But from your last call, you were saying that you had something to do. You were saying I can not conceive of nothing.
Of non-existence. Yeah, I think we should be specific, right? Like when and I assume that's what you mean when you say why is there something rather than nothing. Usually, what a person is saying is why does something exist as opposed to non-existence or nothing existing. Which the phrase "nothing existing" bothers me because I see that as like it's incoherent.
Yeah.
So for me the idea is, can non-existence, and I don't even know how to finish that sentence. If you say can it be, you've already defeated yourself. If you say can it exist, you've defeated yourself. There's no way to finish the sentence. Just could non-existence what? I don't even know what it would. You can't even say it would do. What would it do? What would it be? None of those statements or questions even make sense.
So what happens when we die?
I don't know what would happen. I don't know what it would be.
All of the best information, and I'm assuming you're talking about what happens to me when I die, all the evidence points to the conclusion that I cease to exist. Everything about me apparently dies.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Cool, thanks.